Hey, hi, and welcome all to the Big and Bright Podcast. My name is Nick, and this here next to me is James.
Howdy.
We had an election.
We did.
Yeah, big old election.
A lot of things changed. Everything changed in Texas.
Nothing changed in Texas.
Yeah, nothing changed.
Nothing at all changed.
Despite what Vito promised you, I'm sorry.
A lot of things changed.
He didn't do anything.
Well, the funny thing is not a whole lot changed in the country.
No.
Right? So there's a lot of pretty stable. There wasn't a big shift. There wasn't this red wave that happened. We got a whole, what is it? Two seats in the House.
Yeah,
something like that.
Well, I think like 8, but a lot of the people in the GOP deserve to be fired.
Yeah,
and I hope they are.
It might as well be too.
Tarred, feathered, and then fired. So first fill ridicule and then be fired.
We were supposed to get like a 30-seat game in the House, and
you blew it. 53
to 54 majority in the Senate.
Yeah.
And we did.
And you blew it.
Yeah. But you know where the election went exactly as planned? It's the good old United State of Texas.
Yep.
Right? I need to take a moment.
All right. What's that?
To bask in how right I was.
Oh, yeah?
And how wrong you are.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Because I distinctly remember, and I can go back and look at the tape, there are several episodes where you're talking about, oh, we got California transplants coming in. Texas is trending so purple, and this is gonna be a lot closer than people think.
I recall that.
I 100% recall that, right? And
what episode?
What did I say? It was one of the ones in the
you can't say
it happened. I've got the tape, Your Honor.
Whatever.
Anyway, the fact is that I said all of these California transplants coming in, that's not that big of a deal. In fact, a lot of the California transplants that are coming in are some of the more Republican members of those states that are coming to flee the persecution of the blue wave.
Yeah.
Here they are, and they're going to probably vote for the things that they fled. Right? They're not going to vote for the things that they fled. And then election day happened, and everywhere that was supposed to go red didn't, except the good old United States.
What do you mean? That's supposed to go red?
Yeah, Pennsylvania was supposed to go red.
Yeah.
Who else?
Everybody left.
Carolina was supposed to. North Carolina was supposed to go red.
I don't remember.
Arizona was supposed to go red. Nevada was supposed to go red. None of them went red. But you know what? Texas went red. Not only did Texas go red,
went redder.
It went more red. Fort Worth, the city of Fort Worth,
I was impressed by that.
Voted for Greg Abbott. Good for you.
I did not see that.
Good for you, Fort Worth, Texas.
Wow.
That made me very, very happy.
You know what makes me happy? It's just telling people to like
and
subscribe, share, ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
Ring it.
Ding.
We need a literal bell.
No. You'll just keep ringing it the whole time.
Nick was right. Nick was right. Called the Nick was right bell.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a little Nick was right jar, and I'm just going to drop marbles in it.
Yeah.
The fact is, I deserve many marbles for that particular call, because even certain places, so like, for example, South Texas. South Texas didn't go red entirely, but
still pretty red.
It's still pretty red. Corpus Christi itself. Now, a lot of the areas around Corpus Christi, like Taft, some of that, those places went blue.
Yeah.
Corpus Christi itself was red.
Yeah.
Right? Now, did we lose? Did we get Harris County back? No. We'll talk about that in a second. Did we get Travis County? No. No, we didn't get Travis County. Did we get Dallas County? No, we didn't get Dallas County. That being said, you know who did win? Speaking of Dallas County, our good friend Kronda Timish is now in the Texas Congress. Congratulations to you, Kronda. Very excited for you. I don't know what happened to Michelle Beckley. She was making a run for lieutenant governor.
And she lost to Collier.
Yeah, and lost in the primary to Mike Collier, and then just sort of flittered off into the ether, her blue hair waving in the sunset.
Maybe she ran away to D.C. again.
Kronda took the opportunity, and I couldn't be happier for you. Good for you, Kronda. Right, so we saw a massive red shift in Texas.
Yeah.
So are you willing to recant?
I don't recall the statement.
Okay.
Don't recall.
Okay.
Do not recall.
All right, Hillary.
I do know that our criminal appeals court judges were all red.
Yes.
Shocker.
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird. Still to this day, even though I knew this before going into the election, one was still uncontested. Not one person decided to run against this person. All right, whatever.
Yeah.
Supreme Court judges, still red. Whether or not that actually is Republican or not, we'll see. Our House and Senate, still very red. 85 Republicans in the House, 19 Republicans in the Senate. Yeah, blue had no chance.
Yeah.
No chance. No chance at all.
All right. Now let's talk about some of the named characters here.
Yeah.
First of all, Beto O'Rourke, no means no. Go away.
0-3.
Go away.
0-3.
You are never.
Eat some more New Mexico dirt.
Never going to happen. And you know what? I'm not gonna get angry again. I'm not gonna get the red temple going again. Beto O'Rourke, go away. Nobody wants you here.
Well, to be fair, some little city could need a dog catcher.
That's true. And
maybe you'll win.
I hope that's where you stay. You might even lose that.
Yeah.
You hope you'll run for El Paso dog catcher, right? Greg Abbott.
El Paso.
Yeah. Greg Abbott.
Just a congressional seat again because no one wants you.
Nobody wants you. As proof of the fact that Greg Abbott absolutely rolled over you, 54-43. That's an 11-point gap. Now, James, you and I are politics, right?
We're politics?
We're into politics.
There we go.
11 points. This is a pretty big gap, right?
I was called a butt kicking. There's another word for it, but yeah.
So
you got toe up from the toe up.
Exactly. It was an absolute wall from the start.
Yeah, you had no shot.
Never looking back, Beto never had a shot, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I had to call all my friends and family that voted for Beto and just give them all a wave.
That's about it.
Which apparently is all the people that voted for Beto, right?
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Michelle Beckley, she was knocked out by Collier, right? Mike Collier, who ran against Governor Dan who also won by 11 points. So there was a lot going on. Specifically, was happening in Georgia, right, where you had a governor's candidate that wasn't quite able to bring other people across the line, right? Yeah. So, like for example, Brian Kemp in Georgia wasn't quite able, just totally shellacked Stacey Abrams. Speaking of never going to happen,
she's still the governor. She's still the governor.
Totally shellacked Stacey Abrams, but couldn't bring Herschel Walker.
Well, I think Herschel couldn't bring Herschel.
That's the thing. That apparently is not a situation with Greg Abbott, because most everybody under the ticket won by about the same margin that he did. So they came from Greg Abbott and they said, "Yeah, we'll go ahead and vote down the ticket." Yep. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is still our lieutenant governor by a sizable margin. Maybe Michelle Beckley would have done better.
I don't know.
I'm not sure, right?
Highly doubt it.
Attorney General. Your boy Ken Paxton.
Still there, baby.
Still there.
He did not win as much, though. Sadly, he did not have the same margin.
Only won by 9.
Yeah.
He won by 9 points and only got 53% of the vote.
Man.
So there were a couple people that saw Ken Paxton and went,
but he's under indictment. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, all right. And like James said, all the criminal court justice, the criminal appeals courts were all red.
Don Buckingham also won, which is great. I believe it was for commissioner.
Yeah.
Was following her. I think she's actually a new person.
Sure.
I don't know. She seems excited. We'll see.
So, one of the big things about the show is federalism. We like to talk about federalism. Do you think that this election, we're going to go a little national. Do you think this election on a national scale is evidence of what people are calling the big sort? Right?
You mean that everybody who was in blue states went to red states that were red?
Yeah. So you're saying
it's like how you're saying California, like no blue Californians to Texas. It was actually red Californians saying, "I'm tired of this." They moved and made it more red.
Sure. People are voting with their feet, right? So, for example, you saw a state that was slightly red, Ohio, become pretty darn red in this election.
Thanks to Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. You also saw a state that was trending blue in Michigan go pretty darn blue in this particular election. I mean, Gretchen Whitmer won.
I think people have just given up. So they're saying, you know what, we can't get along. We're out. Yeah. And those that can afford it, leave. Yeah. And I don't know if that's good or bad, honestly. I mean, I like Texas, but nationally, I don't know if that's a good thing.
Yeah. And likewise, you also, I'm actually not so. I don't have such a problem with it because it might actually tone down the national government, right? Because then you've got a cadre of states, not just people that are in Congress, but state governors that are sort of assembling against the party in power. If it's a Republican, that's going to be New York and California. If it's a Democrat, that's going to be Texas and Florida, right? So I feel like
Florida's the dream. Florida, national. Florida is the dream.
Florida did great.
Not one single Democratic seat is being held. That's the dream.
That's great. And Ron DeSantis won. We're over here hooting and hollering about 11 points. Ron DeSantis won by like 22 points.
Yeah, I don't think you can measure how much he won.
Oh, Charlie, that's gonna stick, man.
He won. It shocked me. Like, oh, he did have an opponent. Oh, I didn't freaking know.
That's good. And then, of course, and again, we're kind of digging into national stuff, right? But that, of course, leads to big questions about what's going to happen with Orange Man, who is going to be running for president. I know, I'm as shocked as you.
Well, he announced it, so yes.
Announced he is going to be running for president. What does that mean for Ron DeSantis, who just absolutely cleaned house in Florida? But that's the thing, is that Florida.
You wait.
Yeah, you wait. It's gonna be we have a little more than 700 days until the next election.
You know what?
It's going to be interesting to watch. I will say that Florida's absolute just demolishing on the Republican side.
Yeah.
Sort of overshadowed how good we did here in Texas, but we did very, very well here in Texas.
Yeah.
And we should not be ashamed of that.
But to be fair, the one Democrat we actually did like, Quaylar, he won.
Yes, he did.
He did. He actually won.
You know what? I'm counting that for the Republicans.
Yeah, there's a few things he's kind of like a little pretty limp on. The rest of it's like it's kind of like light.
He's kind of a Tulsi Gabbard, which I gotta say, you're a little too Tulsi
Gabbard. Yeah, she's cute.
She is fine, but you like her too much. She still wants to kill babies.
Whatever, I know.
That being said,
but continue.
We did have, like I said, a couple of blue areas. Rio Grande Valley went entirely red.
Yeah,
which was crazy. But suddenly, especially down south near Brownsville, you're starting to see some blue areas. Obviously, of Travis County, you have Dallas County. Weren't really expecting. We got Tarrant, which I'm good at.
Yeah, shocker.
And we also lost Harris County, which, by the way, there was only one county in the entire state of Texas that had any sort of problems with counting votes. Who might that have been?
Harris County. Yeah.
Absolutely. Harris County, which is crazy because it's always the blue areas.
It's 2 times in a row.
Who are the places? Look at all of the places that took a long time to count the votes. They all went blue, right? Especially, Arizona.
So weird.
Arizona went blue because apparently Arizona's entire vote count is done by a single organ grinder's monkey.
Yeah.
Who's blind in one eye, right? Yeah. And of course, Carrie Lake was winning, and then
I like her. I like Carrie Lake too.
Whoever her opponent was, sort of.
She's fighting it though. She's fighting it.
She is. And she should. I mean, honestly, because you've got places like Maricopa County that take forever. They literally just waiting until they can come up with enough Democratic.
I didn't find. Oh, she won. I didn't find this box. Never mind.
Well, Texas, they were very quick to count the votes, and we were
in the same night.
That's right.
Just like Florida. The way we've done it since forever.
200 years.
But we have more technology and somehow it takes longer now.
But we did have one problem area, which consequently is a blue area. Because they're looking to bring those 11 points back. They're looking to get almost 1 million votes in the Beto direction for Harris County. That wasn't going to happen.
Didn't work.
What did happen in Harris County, James?
Well, there was a bunch of issues. Turns out they had some late polling place openings, which is weird because you kind of knew what election day was. There were some paper ballot shortages. Again, very weird. You kind of know how many people who are registered to vote. And staffing issues. People just weren't there. Just didn't have enough people to oversee certain things. It's really weird. And technicians failing to respond to technical issues that you have every year for some reason.
No burst pipes.
No. You have apparently 782 polling places in Harris County. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Just agree, it's a lot.
That is a ton.
So you know that, though.
And you can go to any one of them if you live in that area.
Yeah.
It's not like it's like, well, you have to go to the one that's...
Well, actually, no, that's one of the things they want. They want to be able to go to anywhere. That's actually the thing they're kind of griping about. Like, I shouldn't have to go to this one area like every other county has done it.
Yeah.
Forever. Oh, if you live here, you go here. Well, but I want to go over there. Just go here. Good night. How hard is it? What's weird is that they recently switched to new voting machines because Texas changed their state laws about, excuse me, they want their machines to have paper trails. So you have a paper ballot, you insert it, you get a little Texas and American flag, you voted, and it keeps it, and it also allows you to have a hard copy of the count. What surprised me is that they just now started doing this, and Texans had to change their law to do that. It's like, what?
Yeah.
So you've just been guessing the whole time until now, and it's like, well, it's pretty difficult. Not really. Every other county has been on par.
Yeah, one guy in the back room going,
paper cut again. Yeah, I have no idea why it took it this long, and I'm glad we have a state law. And of course, the articles that we're going to give you, one of them's beyond PO'd about, well, we had 24-hour and drop off, and Abbott and all the conservatives stopped it. Yeah, because you were cheating.
Yeah.
And this is the second election official that is under investigation. The first one just magically lost 10,000 votes. I don't know if you remember that in the primaries. The second one, again, first time around. Shocker, again, just happens to be a friend of a friend.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, and that's under investigation. What I'm impressed about, though, is that the Harris County District Attorney, it's blue, is looking into it and said, I'm on with this. Abbott said, of course, we're looking into this. And we're getting I think it's the Texas Rangers also to assist in the investigation. And of course, Hidalgo.
Yeah.
Come on. She's saying it's a political stunt. You know it's a political stunt? You pretending like you don't have your whole staff under indictment for a lot of felonies. All right? Get out of here. Shut up.
If I'm Hidalgo's press person, I'm going.
She barely won.
Don't say anything.
She barely won. In a blue county, very blue county, she barely won. You know why? Your whole staff is under indictment.
It's tough to.
Oh.
That being said, they hired a guy with actual brain damage in Pennsylvania. They elected him. So, Hidalgo.
I don't want to talk about nationally, Mark. It's just so sad.
But the thing is that you see this, and this is one of the crazy things. This is what I was talking about with the big story. People vote party line. They just do.
Yeah.
And, if you look at the most,
they don't care.
If you look at the most influential factor, whether somebody votes for or against a particular person, it is the R or the D next to their name. I love this because even again, Harris County, good on you, right? The district attorney there is doing an investigation despite the fact that it went their way. And at this point, I think like they've got nothing to lose. I mean, Texas, you lost. Blue lost. Lost back. Right, so you might as well say, okay, we'll do some investigation.
Well, but here's the weird thing. The county election administrator admitted that, okay, well, there's some shortcomings.
Yeah.
And promised to do a full assessment.
The word was irregularities, right? So the quote here, so link in the description, the Texas Tribune article, which is just sopping this up. It says, irregularities with the latest Harris County election that potentially may include criminal conduct.
Stuff happens.
It's like irregularities. Potentially criminal.
Yeah. Okay. Here's what your quote I pulled out of it was the administrator said they were going to do she was going to do a full investigation just as soon as workers wrap up their voting counting duties. This article was written 2 days ago? November 7th.
Yeah.
Was the election.
Yeah.
We're done. We know the counts. Harris County doesn't really know all the full counts.
It was November.
I voted November 7th. I got early.
That's why you vote on election day.
Yeah. But still, it's very weird that they're still not done.
I'm telling you.
Wrap up what?
I'm telling you.
It's over.
There is a reason. There's a reason beyond. It's not because I don't genuinely believe that Democrats are just less competent at counting votes. I don't. Right? There is a politically driven reason as to why it takes longer to count.
Republicans are just better at math.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
It's not the winning kind.
Exactly. We're not good at what it is. It's just like it's my truth. It's my math.
Yeah.
My math says that Carrie Lake lost the election.
Yeah.
I didn't even know the name of her opponent. I think it's like Hollis, Kate Hollis, or something like that.
I don't know.
Anyway, for the point,
it's like Carrie Lake. She's spitfire.
Yeah, she's fun. She's a lot of fun. Anyway. The big thing on this election, Matt, what would you say the biggest winning issues were for the Republicans in the state of Texas? What do you think the messaging was that was effective?
We're not on the side of Biden.
Yeah.
It wasn't that hard. They did the correct thing. The rest of the GOP should have followed suit.
And honestly, you know who I think...
And we like kids, and we don't want to hurt kids.
That's a big one, too.
Biggest thing.
But you know, the thing is, that was more DeSantis' messaging. And I think if we had pushed that a little bit harder, we would have won by more.
Yeah.
But
I'll take 11 points.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely, I'll take it. But do you know who I credit the most for the demise of Beto O'Rourke?
Who's that?
Beto O'Rourke.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What's that?
I think that when you showed up at that Uvalde high school thing to do that absolutely abominable political stunt, you lost the election that day. I think that day, people said, no, we're done, right? Because the fact is that...
Even though you weren't actually totally wrong, because we found out later on that people lied, and Abbott was just reporting back to what he was told. Mm-hmm. But still, yeah, you pick your moments. Yeah, that wasn't it.
Yeah. And when you
screwed yourself, bro.
When you looked at the elections, I mean, Beto O'Rourke, first of all, Beto O'Rourke is just really bitter. He doesn't have anything to run on himself because he hasn't won an election in 20 years. And
when did he win Congress?
He was, I don't think he ever was a congressman.
He was.
Was he?
He was a congressman.
He was in Congress, yeah. He was a congressman from El Paso. I think that would have been 2 years before 2018, so I think it would have been 2016. The point is, you haven't won an election in a while, so you don't really have a bunch of achievements to run on. And so he's coming across as this sort of bitter. He doesn't really talk about anything other than how terrible your life is. Oh, your life is so terrible in Texas. And the fact is, it just isn't.
Oh, you've been calling from 2017 to 2019 before you started your losing streak. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
So.
It sucks, bro.
Yeah, that's rough.
You likely ran that I hate Trump.
Yeah.
And that was it.
And now you're running I hate Abbott. And reality,
and still I hate Trump. Which your message got to change, dude.
You've got nothing to run on. And
besides your wife's money.
And people are sick of you. I'm sorry, babe.
But he had all that money from George Soros, those out-of-staters. You already know, like we said in the beginning.
You know what? The only thing that will make me have a modicum of respect for Beto O'Rourke is that if he's somehow found some way to take that campaign money and he's just going to go off and live in
Again, his wife is wealthy. He doesn't need it.
But I mean,
he
wants so desperately to be important, and you're just not, dude. Sorry.
Maybe you'll get dog catcher.
Another really big point that the Republicans did push was the issue on the border. You'll notice that one of the biggest moments where Greg Abbott was on the national stage is when he, before Ron DeSantis, started sending...
Is that aimed at me?
Started sending migrants up to... Yes, that wasn't aimed at you. Started sending migrants up to D.C., right?
Yeah.
Now, DeSantis one-upped him.
You Democrat.
What?
Migrants.
Oh, started sending illegal immigrants.
There you go.
Up to D.C. Now, DeSantis one-upped him by sending him to Martha's Vineyard, which was way funnier.
But it was actually our illegal immigrants that we transferred to him.
Yeah.
And then he sent them.
Right? So it was a sort of alley-oop, right?
Yeah.
Just pass it over and he done
hot potato.
The point being is that we were on that. Okay. We don't edit this podcast. In case you were wondering, that is one of those things that I think we did first, but DeSantis kind of did better.
Yeah.
But
we're sending him to 4 or 5 other places now.
That was a situation that we were kind of at the forefront.
Yeah.
And I think that was a big part.
It does, because you're like, you know what? This is what we can do.
Yeah.
We're going to try.
Greg Abbott also thinks so. Yeah. Because Greg Abbott is doing the thing that, actually, this was several episodes ago. So it's almost 6 months ago now. We were talking about he was maybe going to do, he and, it's not Brian Kemp. I'm trying to think of the old Arizona governor, but I can't say his name.
It's not Texas.
He and the governor of Arizona were talking about making this move, and I was the one that said, I'm going to have to eat crow here, because I was the one that said, I don't think Abbott does this. I don't think it's in his best interest. But he's doing it now. And now after he's won his election, he's secure for the next
4 years.
4 years. He's secure for the next 4 years. He's going to declare an invasion.
Yeah.
Now, what he is doing here is, and we're going to get into the legalities of this, it's because there's an element that's a part of the state constitution, but there's also an element that I talked about in this last episode in the United States Constitution.
Yes.
Right? So in Article 5 of the United States Constitution says that the federal government's responsibility is to protect every single state from invasion. Now, what I can tell is Greg Abbott is basically just saying it's an invasion. Like they're interpreting that as if we say invasion enough, then the government has some sort of responsibility to send us what we need, and is abdicating their duties if we say the word invasion enough. I just don't see any strategy. I don't see any strategy where that works out.
Nope.
But that's what he's doing, right? He's calling the invasion. One of the articles that we have in this is one of
it's too funny. It is conservative, but it's too funny to that stuff there.
So the Texas scorecard, links in the description, has this headline: Governor Greg Abbott invokes invasion clauses, but changes nothing.
But it sounds good.
It does sound good, and I will say, Beto, one of Beto's biggest complaints about Greg Abbott was that he was just doing a bunch of political stunts on the immigration issue. This kind of falls under that. This is
the one time he was right.
This kind of sounds like a political stunt. Now, here's the deal. There is an element of the Texas Constitution that allows allows the governor to protect the state from the invasion outside the borders.
Yes.
Here's my question: is it to have a? Okay, go ahead and tell me what this specific Texas Constitution says.
It's Article 4, Section 7 of the Texas Constitution, which basically states the governor shall have the power to call forth the militia, to execute laws of the state, to suppress insurrections, and to repel invasions. And that's how we get there for the invasion part for Texas.
So that language,
they're basically have like boats
in the Texas Constitution. Yeah, little river boats
with 50 cows.
Yeah. There are a lot of things. Yeah. That term invasion in the Texas Constitution, which is something that, according to the United States Constitution, is the responsibility of the federal government, is that now a violation of the 10th Amendment? Because the state is now saying that we will do what the Constitution of the United States says is responsibility of the federal government. Therefore, so the language of the 10th Amendment, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is anything that is not specifically prohibited from the states or granted to the federal government is the responsibility of the states. So in Article 5, this idea of protecting against an invasion would strike me as something that is granted by the text of the Constitution to the federal government. Ergo, if you put it in a state constitution and say that the government now has this responsibility, that strikes me as a 10th Amendment violation.
You're abdicating your rights. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, judging by the numbers that we see coming across, judging by the proof we see people coming across without really any kind of stopping whatsoever.
Sure.
He's basically saying, National Guard of Texas, you go down there.
It's called the state.
That's the National Guard of Texas. They're going to go down there and start protecting it with boats. They're going to actually start protecting it with people at the border. But here's the fun part. Here's where he makes sure to not actually go too far. And what Texas Scorecard kind of points out, you're there. You're basically doing a shuffle defense, like, oh, but you can't turn back. You can't do really much with them. You just deter them. And once they figure that out, and they will, because they watch our news, that's how they know that Biden is saying, come on. It is basically PR stuff.
So what happens if one of these boats with a 50 gal crosses one of these people and they find them? Do they just say, hey,
I think they can catch them, but I don't really know what they can do after that.
And then what?
Because it's, again, the federal government. So, I don't know. I think Abbott should, and probably a better way to say it, but it's the easiest way to say it, nut up and just do it and see what Biden will do. I don't give a crap. DOJ won't do anything.
That was what I said in the old episode, which is you should just send, don't even invoke an invasion, just send them and challenge Biden to do so.
See what happens.
And the thing is that when you do that, you're just basically funneling all the
other governors are going to be like, you know what? I'm in.
You're funneling all the immigrants to California, Arizona, and New Mexico.
Yeah.
Right? You're just saying, oh, if you're going to cross there. Cool. Right? And again, this is more of a federalism thing because at this point, when it comes to the immigration situation, all that we border states can do is kind of shuffle them to other states and go, y'all deal with it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Now, this is what I think we should say. I think that Greg Abbott should, by invoking this Article 4, Section 7 of the Texas State Constitution, he should create a task force, right? And this is not a task force that's responsible for jailing them, the illegal immigrants. It's not a task force that's responsible for turning them back or incarcerating them in any way. It is a task force simply for catching them, assembling them, and shipping them to Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
That's all that this task force does. Is just get them on the bus. Get them on the bus and send them to New York.
I'm with you, because it's like, I'm getting really tired of people, especially in D.C. and these places where they're actually going. They're just using these people as political pawns, and so are you.
Yeah.
If you're going to pretend to be a sanctuary, shut up.
Sanctuary.
Shut up.
If you're going to be a sanctuary, be a sanctuary.
Either you are or you aren't, and you can't get mad at us. Like, no, I called your bluff. Shut up.
And then the other thing that happens is Greg Abbott now is kind of outside of the one legal complaint that people might have on this, which is you're doing what's the responsibility of the federal government. Like, we're not detaining these people.
Yeah.
We're not imprisoning them.
We should.
We're not even deporting them.
We should be imprisoning them as we're turning them right back around.
We're just putting them on a bus and sending them up north.
Yeah.
Right? This is what we should do. And this would be the best thing. Just take them all and put them right on the border of Canada.
Yeah.
Right? And just like take them up to taking them to Washington and be like, right on the border of Canada. And they say, can we go back this way? Can we turn down south? And we look at them and say, can if you want to. We just stand there. See what Trudeau does when they're crossing his border.
Yeah, right? But okay, here's a slight thing. As cool as this may be, here's a tough pill to swallow. Sure. The usual pissed offness about immigrants coming here illegally is they're in here illegally.
Yeah.
And then we ship further north, further inland. Where do you think they're going to go? No, they're just going to be more and more in the United States. Yeah. So it's good to get them out of Texas. However, now we have less tabs on them.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we should tag them in here like cattle. I don't know. You're coming over here illegally, I treat you illegally. Whatever.
That's
to me, that's something I've been thinking about lately. It's like, well, it's kind of weird.
The thing is, we can't do anything. We really can't do anything else. There's a difficulty. There's a difficulty in the sense that we can't incarcerate them and we can't turn them around and send them back to their country. So this is really kind of the next best thing. But it is important to note. And it's a difficult thing because, like I said, states.
I don't know what perfect answer there is. I really don't.
This is out of the state's purview, and it's unfortunately been given to Joe Biden, who is
who's not there.
And the small part of it that is there is fully in favor of them being here and amnesty and all of that good stuff. So
it's terrible.
The point is, friends, Texas had a good November 8th.
Very red.
Very good November 8th. It wasn't a good November 8th in general for the Republicans, but Texas, and you know what, Florida, you can come be the little dim one next to us. But Texas was, in this election, it was the star at night. It was
big and bright.
We'll see you next week.